Welcome to Interesting Enough. I am Nolan. We got a special guest, Jesse, back in the building. Jesse, man, we're going to get right into it. How you feeling, man?
Good. I'm excited to see where this goes. But definitely an eventful day.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get into the stuff, it's been a stressful day for me, but we obviously had to give our Dame trade reaction, so we're going to get into all the details with that. But first, of course, like, subscribe, follow. We're on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Thank you for everybody for the support thus far. Jesse, before we get into the Dame trade, because that's what everybody's going to be here listening to, let me just bring you in for like a minute or two. Let me tell you my initial reaction first, because usually I pose the question, but as the resident Heat fan right now, I gotta just tell you what I did. So trade hits. I'm getting a text from you, Trey, JP, everybody else, and I'm in shock. I'm in shock, right? I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to feel. Like I admit I was sad. I told y'all I was sad. But you know what? Then it turned, Jesse. I locked in. I said, I believe I'm part of Heat culture. I believe I'm there. I've been here long enough. So I said, you know what? What would somebody in Heat culture do? I said, I'm gonna go to the gym. We gonna get in the gym. We gonna work. That's what I said. I said, I'm gonna go to the gym. We not gonna have any reactions. I'm gonna go to the gym and we just gonna put our head down and work. So I went to the gym, cleared my mind. I came back. Was still sad. Nothing actually. was still sad. But after thinking about it, I realized I gotta trust Pat Riley and the crew. If I've trusted them to this point, and from the initial trade between the Heat and the Blazers, even though they were far apart, we'd heard the rumblings of what that was offered. I felt like it was too much to be given up, as much as I wanted Dame, and I have to feel like that's where the Heat stood with this. So I think the Heat did lose today by not getting Dame. However, I don't think they're dead. And when I say dead, I think they'll still make some moves, whether it's this year, maybe at the trade deadline. But we're gonna get into the Heat part of it initially. But let's just I'm gonna throw it back to you, because that was my initial reaction. That's how I felt when you first saw the trade go down. Just tell me what's your first couple initial thoughts?
My initial was what in the world happened? That's really what was on my mind. I was like, what just happened? I seen it again. I was at work, just minding my business, look at my phone, and I seen that what Trey said, and I was like, whoa. Honestly, I was surprised, because I think sometime in the past few weeks there was a report that said if Dame got traded somewhere that was not Miami, he would immediately request a trade to the Heat. So I was like, what just happened? And then my very next thing was, let me figure out who got included in this trade, because he on the Bucks, and I was like, there's only two people that have value that could get moved, and I was just in shock, man, when I saw it was Drew. And initially I was like, I don't like it. I don't like giving up defense for offense. But I think about the game that's being played now, and really starting to think, what is Damian Lillard good at versus what Drew struggles at. And once I thought about Miami, I was like, ooh, that boy Tyler got to be going through it, boy.
Yep.
Training camp is next week, I want to say. I believe next week is when training camp starts. And that's going to be it's going to be an interesting interaction, because they literally was like throwing this man's name in these speculations for months, the entire summer, really. And he unfollowed them, I think, and it's just going to be, there's more to come, like you said, because Drew's supposed to be getting moved again by the Blazers, so I started really thinking about that.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Yeah, we're going to get into that.
It was just in shock, though. I couldn't believe what happened. And this reaction was a straight shock.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we should I'll attack the first part, piggybacking off of you. It's great for the Bucks. Great day for the Bucks. Because however you felt about Drew Holiday, defensively, whatever, Dame Lillard is better. I mean, like, not defensively, but just, you'd rather have Dame on the surface. And I felt the same way as you, Jesse, because when I saw the mystery team and it was like Toronto, I'm like, Dame, if they try to trade Dame to Toronto, he's not going to show up. Because going to Toronto, if they'd have to give up Scotty Barnes and all that crew, they're just not going to be a good team anyway. So it would just be pretty pointless. And I think Dame wanted to go to the Heat so bad. To be real with you, Jesse, I only saw two opportunities. Now looking back on it, I was like, if I'm Dame, I want to go to the Heat more than anything, because I want to be at a contender. I want to play with Bam, all the different reasons. Jimmy Butler. The only thing that could sway Dame and be like, I've been on this Heat thing the whole time is like, look, Dame, I know you want to play with Bam. I know you want to play with Jimmy Butler and go to Miami. But what do you think about playing with Giannis? Now, you know what I mean? Like, that's the only time where you could be like, all right, I
Hey,
might
they
not want to
had the
live in
tweets.
Milwaukee, but
They showed
this,
the tweets that he tweeted something about Giannis a few years back. So it
yep.
was the connect. Boy, he knew who he wanted to be with.
Right. That, and I feel like there's only two, like, I feel like that he's one of the players you would say that to. And then the other player would be if he said Embiid. Like, let's say Philly was able to make a deal or something, and you're like, hey, would you be down to play with Embiid? Because those two guys would complement what Dame does well, right? Like more than even Bam, as far as like an offensive skill set. So for Dame, even though you got to be, I mean, ecstatic because though you wanted to go to Miami, you possibly want to an even better winning situation. That's even tough to say because of how I am as a Heat fan. So on the surface for Dame, it's great. Now let's get into the Heat part first, and then we'll kind of assess the other parts of the trade because there's a lot of parts. So I got thoughts about what's next for the Heat initially. You kind of alluded to it with Drew. What do you think if I'm a Heat fan, so talk to me directly, like what do you think what's next for the Heat? Like what should we be looking forward to?
There's two prospects for your trade route.
Okay.
You got that Drew, obviously, but also Malcolm Brogdon because he's a little upset out there in Boston.
He was in a trade that got rescinded. Yeah, so for
exactly.
sure.
So y'all need a point guard at the end of the day. Y'all need a tough-nosed, defensive-minded point guard who can distribute the ball and who's able to knock down a shot. They ain't got to be a 20-point scorer, but y'all need an actual point guard because Lowry, he ain't cutting it. Y'all got rid of your boy Gabe.
Yep.
Y'all literally don't have a point guard. It's Tyler Hero, and Tyler.
He's not a point guard.
He's
We
my
can,
Kentucky. Yeah. Exactly. I like him from Kentucky, but
he's a bucket. He's a bucket, but that's it.
That's not the type of basketball I like to play, as you know. Anyways, I want some hard-nosed defense or a true bucket that is consistent. And Tyler he got to go. I still think him and Duncan. You know, I've been talking about this all the time. They got to go. Like, no, for real, you trying to win and you ain't got no point guard, and he has to go. So they need to find a way to get Drew or Malcolm. I feel like at all costs without Jimmy and Bam being involved because they need a point guard. Like they are desperate for a true point guard.
Yeah, I mean the Malcolm Brogdon thing, I haven't heard as much, but I like that. Only problem with the Malcolm Brogdon, just his injury history is just the only part that's scary. Like everybody knows he's good, but it's just like I'm scared, if he doesn't stay healthy. And that was part of the reason with the Boston thing. It got rescinded, and maybe because of a physical and a couple of other things. So, that's tough. If the Heat, they're not going to be the only one bidding for Jrue Holiday, but I would be really excited if they ended up with Jrue Holiday as a consolation prize because he's an all-star level point guard. He's not the scorer that Dame is when you need late in games, but obviously we know what he does on the defensive end. He's a pit bull, and he's obviously a clear upgrade. And that is like not just a consolation prize. That is like that's an upgrade of whatever you had. So I think if they can go get Jrue Holiday, you feel good. Now I want to paint the different picture though. Yeah. Let's say the Heat aren't able to get Jrue Holiday. Let's say they aren't even able to get Malcolm Brogdon, right? So they got to fill the roster in other ways. There's a couple guys that I think the Heat can still set themselves up for. Because if you're the Heat, right, Jesse, we was looking at these trade offers, and it's like they were asking for Jaime Jaquez, who they just drafted, Jovic, plus Caleb Martin and Hero. Like at a certain point, as much as you love Dame, you're a 33-year-old point guard, $60 million, you're giving up basically your whole future. That's really hard. That's really hard, and I think the Heat weren't willing to budge on it. So I got to trust Pat Riley. Because Pat Riley doesn't get fleeced in deals. Like, there's a couple GMs in the league. You know this, Jesse, as being a basketball fan. It's like Danny Ainge. I think Masai Ujiri is one of them in Toronto. Like, usually when they make deals, they're not the ones getting fleeced. They're usually the ones doing the fleecing. Yeah. And I think Pat Riley's in that category where it's like, I kind of got to trust if he didn't make this deal and he didn't. Because some GMs would have panicked, if we're being real, would have been like, wait. Milwaukee's coming into the deal last minute. All right, F it. We'll just give it to you. And, like, the Heat kind of stood back and were probably like, no, this is our offer. We can't give you the whole squad because we got to look forward. What if Dame in 2 years is that's it? And then you just got, an empty cabinet there with no assets. So I think the Heat stood back. And I've thrown these couple names out there, Jesse, and then we'll get back to a couple of the parts of the trade. But we'll see what happens with Embiid. What if they don't get off to a rocky start? We know he likes to play with Jimmy Butler. I don't think the Donovan Mitchell story is completely done in Cleveland, and there's been a lot of talk about that. Yeah. And so those are a couple guys. And then long shot, I don't think he fits with the Heat as much, but Trae Young. So there's a couple guys I think the Heat are still standing pat with they can get a couple guys within the next year or so anyway. What do you think? Do you think that's like realistic? Because the Heat always feel like, as a Heat fan, we always feel like we're going to be a hot destination for somebody.
So 2 points I think that are important. The way this is going to work, in my opinion, is not going to be through superstar transactions.
Okay.
The Heat just got off the finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they lost 2 rotation players, really, Gabe and Matt.
Strus, yep.
If they did this without Tyler Hero, I think that you can either A, keep him, or B, seek 2 quality role players, not role players, but like a starter and someone that will come off the bench that you can acquire that are not big names to help booster like the roster, because they literally just came. There's no need for panic mode. Y'all just came off another finals. It's 2. Was it 2 in like 4 years, right?
Right. Yeah. 2 in 4 years, basically. Yeah.
So y'all clearly all, and then you still got the same players, just minus 2 people. One of them, Max, he had like a good series maybe, and then the rest he was just average. But and honestly, with Gabe too, he had like maybe a good series or 2. Mm-hmm. I think that if you want to keep Hero and see how he goes about becoming a true point guard or a distributor, you can try that route. But I think they can get 2 quality players that are not big names and help boost this roster up. I couldn't give you like an example off the top of my head, mm-hmm. but every year you got your second, third year players that were lottery picks, so that may not be panning out, that'll always be available. That's something that's consistently happening. Like your James Wiseman's, for instance. Like there's going to be guys where you can get a value with little financial impact in terms of like, oh, you got to move this and that. Like they're smaller contracts that you can get on your team. So I think they may need to just wait and see how the season plays out the first few months and see what players are disgruntled, what quote unquote projects aren't working out, and move from there, because they definitely got some trade bait with the Hero, with I don't really like Douglas, so I just throw his name out there.
Hey, he was hooping in the finals though. He was hooping in the finals.
He was. But I think y'all look for some younger talent that maybe haven't been tapped in yet.
And I think you brought up a good point. What about the Heat? Just guys currently on the roster just getting better. You know, what if Tyler Hero takes another leap? Because he's already a 20-point scorer. What if he becomes a 25-point scorer, like a borderline all-star? You know what I mean? That could be the score that you needed, because we watched the Heat and the Nuggets in the finals. What they really lacked was a guy to just go get a bucket at certain times. And obviously Tyler Hero was hurt. Maybe he could have been that guy, and maybe he could have rose to the occasion in the finals. We just don't know because he got hurt. Like that's something we'll never know. And maybe he does, and we're not even having this discussion. So, and like you said, if he plays really well, you got 1, a really good player, or 2, a guy that you can use as a trade asset to, like you said, to then flip it. If his value is high, you can maybe flip him for somebody else. So I like that. And you said you didn't really have an example at the top of your head. Brogdon is probably the most solid example, if not Drew Holiday, of, like you said, adding a starter and then adding somebody off the bench. Like if you start with like a guy like Brogdon.
You know what? I just got one. Quentin Grimes. I think that he's going to be going down in the rotation. And I think like you ain't got to trade Tyler here at that point. You could probably throw in a second-round pick
and grab him,
player. So like I think New York got a few guys. I'm just started thinking James Boatnight. He's not the greatest, but you can get him for low value from Charlotte.
But James Bouknight, he could be that new scenery guy. Just needs a change of location. Exactly. Maybe it changes things for him.
There's dudes. It's the NBA. There's 60 players coming in brand new every year, and there's players from 3 years ago that, again, you got 180 guys, a pool of 180 people, low key. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's easier said than done. Like I said, you got to find the right guy that fits, of course. But the Heat have been good at doing that, though. To be fair, that's their record. They have been good at getting a guy that maybe some people were down on or didn't even think about it and then producing. So, yeah, I agree. The Heat are not in panic mode. It's not a great day to be a Heat fan. We got to be fair because we wanted Lillard. But we'll see how it shakes out. Now, let's flip it, because I want to look at the rest of the trade and just filling people in for who haven't seen it. This is kind of how it shook out. Obviously, the Bucks got Dame. Portland ended up getting Drew Holiday, who they're planning to flip. Obviously, they're not. That's the report. They're not planning to keep him, which is why we were discussing him. DeAndre Ayton. You got Kamara, who's a second-round pick nobody really knows about. And then you got a first-round pick, a couple pick swaps. And then for the Suns.
Picks are for 6 years from now.
yeah, 28 and 30. So we're not even going to worry about that right now. We can talk about that in the pod in years from now, so when it actually matters. And then the Suns ended up getting Yusuf Nurkic, who was the starting center up with Portland, Grayson Allen, who I'll let it go. But we know how we feel about Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, who's a nice player, and Keon Johnson. So I'll let you go either way with it. If you want to go to Portland route, the Suns route, like you could talk about either one of the teams, Jesse. Like, tell me about what some of the other two teams should be expecting in this deal. Like, did they make out good just off the surface?
I'm gonna go off of the team that initiating this all, Portland, because they clearly needed to allow Scoop some playing time, Anthony and Shaden, and by getting rid of Dame, them three get the ball now. And
Yep.
what they need on their team is a center that is not going to get hurt and play. DeAndre Ayton is perfect. He is literally top 5 centers because there ain't too many centers. I'm gonna be honest. He may be number 5 because you got your two MVPs.
I don't know. He was
You got
unplayable in that.
Bam.
He was unplayable in that playoff series, though. It got
Listen,
ridiculous.
I think off of potential, he's a good center that will help because he's not going to be asked still to do anything crazy. But I think within his role, you need someone to rebound, dunk, block shots. He's gonna do it, and he's gonna get a lot of pick and roll action. And
I
a
was
lot
just
of
gonna, yeah, that was
dunkers.
because I was gonna ask. I just want to chime in real quick because the problem with DeAndre Ayton is just like he decides when he's motivated and not motivated because based on his touches. Now,
Mhm.
I don't like that in a player personally. Like I'm off of DeAndre Ayton. I want a guy that's all in all the time. However, like you said, this may be a good situation where I mean we haven't really got to the basketball part of it, but like he probably slots in as the number 2 option right away, right? Like I mean, you got Scoot and then whatever if you want Simons or him, whoever, it's 2 or 3 option.
There's no real number 1. That's the good part for him, or a clear
Good
number
point.
2 because he's been on the teams with KD, Chris Paul, Booker. Like he's not getting. I mean, he gonna get the ball, but he's not the one that. Oh yeah, we gonna give it to Ayton tonight. Like he's
Yeah.
a domino piece. Like he's got a chance to really be the man. Like he's the most established player on this team at this point of his career. He has experience, which nobody else has, and he has 3 dynamic guards. Like I think it's gonna be really good for him.
Yeah, and like you said, if you get a motivated guy with his talent, I mean, you could be talking about a 19-10 guy, with Scoot Henderson and Portland. You're looking good for the future if we just said those, because I don't know if Simons is in the future, just because of the small guard thing. But let's just say for sure we know Scoot, Shaden Sharp, Ayton, and then even Simons for this year.
Bro,
Like,
Simon's like 6'4", and he got bunnies. He can shoot. He's straight.
yeah,
Defense
but
is going to be the other side. We're gonna
yeah, I
worry
was gonna
about
say
that.
you can't have 2 guards. Like, we'll see how Scoot is defensively, but it's just gonna be tough winning. But like you said, for at least this year, you're probably gonna have this guy. But I can see Simons being a guy at the trade deadline. They try to move and get even younger. You know what I mean? And then maybe he go to a contender where he can actually get buckets. Like, I mean, we're talking about, there's a couple teams that could use a guy that can score. So I like that part of it. Now for the Suns, I'm not a big fan of Nurkic. I just think that he sometimes is unplayable. I think sometimes he's been injury prone, and I think he's part of the reason why Dame wanted to go because you just couldn't rely on him. But for the Suns, I mean, that is an upgrade because he's a guy that's not going to be looking for a bunch of touches, and he's not a great defender or anything like that, but he's just a big body that could just be in the way. And for that team that is going to obviously get buckets, like we already know that's going to happen. That may be a nice fit. And I'll leave the Grayson Allen part to you because I know he's more of your guy than me. Besides all the antics, Grayson Allen was a good player in a rotation in a playoff series with a good team with the Bucks. So he's a guy that like maybe he's that 5th guy out there in the lineup where they're going to be double teaming the other guys, and he can definitely knock down a shot for you. I like what the Suns did here. They made out well, and they stuck their nose into a deal, and I think they got better. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm there with you. I'm mad you call Grayson my guy. I don't like him like that either. I'll be real with you,
Well,
boy.
you always talk about the Duke guys, so I mean, I was like, I thought
Well, I
maybe.
do, but I don't know what to say, but that's not my guy. But with that being said, basketball wise, he's good for knocking down shots, keeping that floor spread, adding depth to a team that had none. They had, I believe, 10 veteran minimums on their roster outside of the big 3.
It's insane.
I think Nasir Little is going to be very good because he's just the energy guy that's going to definitely get time off that bench now because they need somebody. Keon Johnson, he's a project, but at least they have a project because before they did not. So I think you can't not be disappointed with that. And Nurkic, they definitely went down between center talent, but if we're taking someone that plays hard, plays well, like knows how to move the ball, which is a huge plus on a team with a bunch of shooters, It's just a matter of health and what's going to happen defensively. That's always going to be a question for this team because no one is like. Let me think. I think they got a Kobe or something like that. Josh
Yeah,
Okogie.
Josh Okogie. Yeah.
Okogie. He's like the one defensive minded guy, but everyone else is offense. And we're talking about a deep West where your Nuggets, your Lakers, your Warriors, everyone in the West has offense. So like it's either we're gonna outscore someone or we're gonna have to make stops. So I'm interested to see how that works for them. But overall, good trade.
And I mean, I think the only thing with the Suns left, I mean, who's going to be the point guard, right? That's the only thing that still hasn't been ironed out because, no Chris Paul. I think Campaign is no longer there anymore too. So they really don't have a point guard. So we're talking about teams. Maybe they're a team that I don't know if they have enough money to do the Drew Holiday thing. Maybe not, but
not at all. I think less of a point
out.
guard and more who's going to initiate offense. Don't think point guard. Let's not be position. It's a positionless basketball. So who's going to initiate the offense? And
okay, but
from
as
the
currently
standpoint
constructed
of
right now, who's gonna initiate offense? They don't have it.
I trust Book. I trust KD, and I know Bill can do it. Because when I'm talking about initiating offense, all we're talking about is okay, like whether half court wise, um, either of those three having the ball. If we're looking at down screens, we're looking at on ball screens. I would love all the men in the two man action with a Nurkic or whoever the heck they got on the court. To be honest, because off of that screen, whether they're on the ball or passing it to one of them off the ball, whoever got the ball in their hand can shoot, can score. And I know they are basketball minded guys, or they can make the right play at the end of the day.
Okay, so the thing is, all right, I'll shape it another way. We can say it's positionless, but you're still gonna have to have a lead guard out there, even if that guy doesn't always initiate. Like, a la Mario Chalmers with the Heat. It was gonna be LeBron initiating and then Wade. Chalmers wasn't really doing much, but you still needed a guy out there that can be the quote unquote point guard and also the guard other point guards. Which, whatever we think about Booker and Beal's defense, is probably pretty good, but you don't want them chasing around the elite point guards the whole game. Like that's just not that's not something you want. But I agree. Now, if I'm the Suns, obviously we're getting real basketball heavy. But to be fair, I think ideally we know with every big three, Jesse, somebody else is going to take the big sacrifice, whether it was Bosh, Ray Allen, whatever. I look at their big three. I would like, and on paper, Beal is probably the guy that's going to end up being the spot up guy for the most part.
Yeah.
And then Booker's, he's already shown He's shown really good with the ball in his hands and initiating offense. So you kind of feel like, and then of course we know KD can just, KD fits in wherever. Like he's the most fit in basketball player ever. So I mean, I think they can make that work, and especially in playoff times. But I'm interested to see where they fill that out. And like you said, I'm sure there's some point guards in the league I'm not thinking about.
Who's their head coach now? Monty's out. Who's their head coach?
Oh, I don't remember. That's a good question. Who did they?
Because at the end of the day, I mean, you got Brad, you got Dev, you got KD. Like, you got dudes that can straight up score the basketball. Like
Frank Vogel.
They can shoot. Oh, and he's a defensive minded coach, but they got dudes that can straight up shoot, man, like straight buckets.
Yeah.
And you can't go wrong with that. And it's not like they can't handle the ball. It's not like they can't make the right basketball play. I think it's just getting used to something that's different. And this could be a change. Depending on how this works, this could be the end of the point guard.
I mean, I think, like you said, I think the good point is it's not going to be the end of the point guard, but if you could have a guy that's going to,
because if you could, in the time that big man ran the NBA, that we're at a point where the big man don't have the same impact. We're not looking for a bunch of big 7-footers stacking 7-footers. Like, the game changed. Like, what if it changed again? Like, that's all I'm saying. That's all.
I'm not saying it can't change. I just don't think with the amount of elite point guards there is in the NBA, I just think that'd be. I don't think it'd happen right now. I mean, I know the Suns are not operating with one, but like we can go down the list of elite point guards in the league right now. So I mean, so that's my only thing. Now, I just think part of the sacrifice is with the Suns, like you said, somebody's going to have to scale it back. If it's Booker, he may just have to decide, hey, like in certain game situations, I'm just going to have to be a facilitator here. And I think those guys would buy in. I think they're just all trying to win. So, like, I'm sure that'll be fine. But it's interesting to see. I think the role players that they got, that was the big thing. Because we saw in the Nuggets series. And, of course, I know I picked them to win the series and Nuggets. I know. I just didn't think their role players were just not that good, like just that bad. Like they just were unplayable in the
Yeah,
series. Like with the
correct.
like
Yeah,
it was like ridiculous. Like KD and Booker were kind of doing whatever, and then it was just like
dropping 70, 80,
yeah,
whatever.
and they just needed a guy to hit a corner three, and they just couldn't get it done. Like so,
Yeah,
I think they're working hard to solve it. And Matt Ishbia, their owner, has proven like he's just willing to pay. Like at this point, like they'll pay the tax, whatever it is. But I don't know. I like the moves for. I mean, who would be the winner out of? Because I think all three teams, quote unquote, won. But I mean, if you had to pick one winner, who's the winner out of all these three teams in the deal?
it's gonna have to be the Bucks, and that's simply because Giannis should be signing that contract. If they lost Giannis, they would be looking stupid. And
Mm-hmm.
if they can keep Giannis, it is worth whatever they had to move. So Bucks first, followed by the Blazers because they got some future draft picks. Which I mean, I don't know what it's going to turn out to be honestly, but they got future draft picks and they have a nice talent in Ayton that I think is undervalued. But I think this is going to be his breakout year. I hope.
Yeah, I hope so. Because if he doesn't break out here, is he gonna be breaking out in China? So you got to figure it. You got to figure it. You gonna have to figure it out. This is as good of a situation as you're gonna get, on a second team. Now, last thing before we get out of here, because we talked about Dame and every aspect of it, and I'm sure we'll find out more information. I'm sure as soon as we drop this pod, like Drew Holiday may be on a different team. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we may figure this out, and that may alter things. Does this have any bearing on James Harden? And I'm just going to tell you why I asked this. In terms of how fast they want to move James Harden, I know these deals have nothing to do with each other. I don't think it was really real ever him going to the Clippers. But if you're James Harden and you see that deal, do you feel any differently? Do you feel the same? If you're the Sixers, does this mean because the Sixers obviously got to make moves? They're in the East. The Bucks are now the elite team in the East on paper, right? So what does this mean? Does this have any bearing on this?
No, and I say that just because at the end of the day, someone is gonna. Well, the Sixers have to want to trade James Harden, which they clearly have not cared to. But number two, someone's gonna have to want him and put in an offer to change their mind. And unless they just want Drew Holiday, which is a good player, so if they want Drew, go ahead, do what you gotta do. But James Harden ain't trying to go to no
And the Blazers
Portland.
don't want James Harden. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So
right.
it's like I don't think it changed anything because no one wants him essentially outside of the Clippers, and the Clippers not trying to give nobody up. So
Right.
no, it's a matter of like him actually taking care of his body and coming in the season ready because it's not like the Houston team or the Nets team are like, oh, we gotta get rid of him. Like y'all just got off of what are they, conference finals, right?
Semifinals, yeah.
They just came off of a good year, and the biggest thing is we need some consistent shooting. We need some team playing, some defense, and unless someone wants James Harden, which I don't see anyone wanting him right now, nothing's going to change from this trade movement with Dame.
I agree with you. And that's my thing with the James Harden situation. I mean, I've kind of like tossed it around in my head and looked at teams. I don't really know a path. Like, I don't think you can name me three teams that would be like, yeah, they would really benefit from James Harden. And just from the last of what we saw of James Harden. Not saying that he wasn't a really good player, because, by the way, he did have a really good regular season last year. It was just in the playoffs. Obviously, they got stained. But who is willing to pay James Harden
Yeah,
plus have this guy where we're not really sure, right? So you got to obviously limit that to contenders. And it's like, okay, like
honestly,
you can
crazy thought.
toss
The
around the Heat.
Knicks, and I say this just because
Okay.
if they're sick of RJ Barrett at this point, and they think Julius Randle not the one, they at least have like the ability to make something crazy happen. Again, this is crazy because I don't know if Harden works RJ and James Randle, but I know they have players that they can move, and it's a city that because James in the day he's trying to be somewhere.
Yeah, no, you're right. The city works for James. He'll
Yeah.
figure it out. He'll figure it out in New York.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be fine. But if I'm the Knicks, I don't do that deal because I don't want the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hand after what I just saw this past year. You know what I'm saying? Like I want the ball in that guy's hands as much as possible. Now I want to give him help. I think they gave him some help this offseason, but I don't want because the thing with James Harden is he's got to be able to adapt in the way Russell Westbrook did, right? Like at some point you got to be like
Timeout. He just led the league in assists, right?
yeah.
He is a 24-11 guy. Russell Westbrook, when he got moved, he was not the same dude in the Washington Wizards, the Lakers or Clippers as he was in OKC.
Okay, but who played better in the playoffs?
I mean, James Harden ain't never played good in the playoffs. So that's not the news.
well, okay, but that's our point. Whoever's getting them, I don't care what you're doing in the regular season. I need you to show up in the playoffs, and that's what contenders care about. I don't care about him putting up numbers in the regular season.
I'll be honest. James Harden, first off, the New York or James Harden in just general, you're not expecting a championship contender or. Yeah, I'm gonna be real. You're not gonna be expecting a championship contender. I want tickets. I want entertainment. And we're here. No, bro, you gotta think about this. Everybody can't win a championship, and there's only about 4 teams. I say 4 that are championship contend. Maybe 6 championship contending teams, and the rest of them you're just trying to like build. You need ticket sales. You need jersey sales. You need.
But those teams.
Okay.
If that's the case, then go to Charlotte or somewhere else. But like
boy, did you not hear what I just said? Ticket sales, Charlotte. Come on now, boy.
Well,
there's
saying,
no hope with that. There ain't no hope. Oh, James Harden. No, you need a big city that like actually believes their team's gonna win.
Or you can trade him to a small city that doesn't get attendance, and maybe he can get attendance. If that's what we're talking about,
we need a big city. Any good team, bad team, but we need a big city.
You know, I got you. I already got it figured out. I got you. I'm gonna give you a city. No. I'm gonna give you a city. That's not bad though. I like that. I like where you're going with that. I'm gonna give you a city that got everything you're looking for. James Harden can go have fun. He can go ball out, and we'll see how. And he got a partner. You can go right to DC and Chocolate City and play with Jordan Poole, and they can go out and champagne and campaign, and they can go hoop, and they ain't winning nothing. There you go.
Who are they gonna get from the Wizards of value?
I don't know. They can trade Kuzma.
See, that's the problem. They're not getting that.
I mean, like
at least with my New York trade, RJ, you know, there's some hope there. Or Randall, there's some hope.
There is no way the Knicks would want Jalen Brunson playing with James Harden. There's just no way. There's just no way they can have both defensive liabilities, both guys. First of all, they're gonna have every lefty in the NBA on the same team at a certain point. So like, there's just no way if I'm the Knicks, I'm doing that. There's just no incentive for me to do that. Like, I'd rather build with what we have going on now.
Yeah, James about to be on that mellow Russ stuff because not that the production's gonna go bad, but no one wants him. Like that's what it's gonna come down to. No one's gonna want him. And he got one chance. This year's his last chance.
Can I throw one team out? I'm not talking about assets. I'm just saying like strictly fit. No way he can't go to Atlanta. No way he cannot go to Atlanta. All right. What about the Lakers? LeBron can play with anybody. Like I don't know what assets. I don't know what they can.
Yeah, that's what I thought next. Like who's gonna make the money work? So not Russ. D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell's got a tradable contract. You probably have to move Reeves.
Nope.
Reeves. As soon as I said Reeves, it's no.
No. And I say that just because like he got youth on his end. Like you're not about to get rid of a potential 20 a night scorer for a dude that's got a good 2 years of high level basketball left in him for someone that's got a whole career ahead of him.
So I mean, like I said, we're really looking at the
Jazz, bro.
He can't go to Utah, man. He can't go to Utah.
Bro, like when you really think about it, like he's not going. No contending team outside the Heat. I guess the Heat. That's all you can work with, boy. Because I think you could take a hero and Duncan. You know, I don't like these dudes. And Duncan for James Harden, and I think it could be good for both teams.
What about Orlando?
My problem is he's going to impact the development of their entire young team, and I don't need them messing around with that. No, for real. They got a bunch of young, and I want Paolo with the ball. I want Jalen or Markel or who's the other point guard? They got 3 point guards: Jalen, Markel.
They got Cole Anthony.
Cole. There we go.
Yeah, yep.
Like, they got a bunch of actual point. I mean, they're not actual point guards, but point guards.
I was going to say, yeah. There's some nice
along
guards.
With shooters, scorers, like there's too much.
Matter of fact, Jesse, they got 4. They drafted Anthony Black from Arkansas, so they got 4 point guards.
We need to get traded because I don't know what's happening in Orlando. They literally just be taking all kind of people. It's not even meshing right now. They got too many people. They literally need to
They
trade
got
for
too
a
many guards.
superstar. They need a superstar, and they got too many young assets.
Like they're actually a team. Like we're talking about assets. They actually a team that have good assets that you could package if they wanted
and
to cash it in and go
if
get
they need
somebody.
someone, the only player that I would be trying to get, which I know he just got a contract, is Jaylen Brown. That's what they need.
Ooh.
That's what they need, and they can make it happen. I don't care if you're getting rid of Wagner. Everyone but Paolo is on the table, is what I would say. If you can get Jaylen Brown, because you
See, but
package Wagner,
I would want
Suggs,
Brown
and
with
Wendell
Wagner.
Carter.
Yeah, I would want Wagner with.
No, I'm just saying though, if you can get Jaylen Brown and Paolo, it's over. That's my opinion. It's over. It's
Yeah, and you can
over.
build a good team.
It's
Yeah,
over. Like no, for real. Like they are wrecking offenses and defenses every night. But again, he just got that contract, so that's not going to happen. So
right, yeah.
I'll,
This is just hypothetical. We're spitballing at this point, but yeah. Now I know what you mean. If we're just talking about on paper, we just moving
let's
players
put
on 2K.
Harden to San Antonio, boy. Let him play for Pop. Pop will get him right.
We might as well end this. You know that's not happening. You
Nah, for
absolutely.
real. Throw in what's that boy's name? What's Dennis Rodman on the team?
Jeremy Sohan.
Yeah.
So I knew exactly who he was talking about with the hair.
Throw him in.
You want him to play
Trey
with
Jones.
Wemby? You want him to play with Wemby?
Yeah, I think that'd be good for Wemby, honestly too.
So how is that good for Wemby's development, but you don't want him to play with the Magic with the development? That don't make sense to me.
Wemby ain't a ball dominant player. He needs someone to get him an easy bucket at the end of the day, and that's what
True.
Harden will do is get someone an easy bucket, and it'll take so much pressure off this man because everyone's gonna be criticizing. Oh, Harden this, Harden that, and Wemby gonna fly under the radar, boy.
I got an underrated part of that too.
And
Harden's
then,
not a good defender. Guess who can protect the rim?
Exactly. And Pop will look like a straight genius because if those two can get together, you know what? Harden to San Antonio. That's what I want now. Now that we talk about it, because they got assets that they can move. Whether I would not hope that they trade a first round pick because they're gonna be booty. But if they can get rid of, they got a lot of young guys that are role players that a team like Philly is missing. So that's Dennis Rodman, boy, whatever you said his name was, Jeremy something.
Jeremy Sohan, yeah.
They get Dennis 2.0. They get Kendall Johnson, and they I think what's the buddy's name? I was trying to think.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up. Let's make the case. So give me the case Harden to the Spurs, like combining that. Like so, I mean, like obviously forget the assets part, but just give me what you would like to see Harden why you would like to see Harden with the Spurs.
It's an opportunity for him to do the impossible. And I say that because if they have a bad year this year, it will be good. If they give him another asset, they got cap space. It's a chance to get another person that's a gruntled star to San Antonio to put with this 2K player in Harden. And all they need is someone like a Paul George, Siakam, someone to just be ready to. I'm taking my NDA and I'm dipping after this. You put that person with Harden and Wemby, it's over. And whoever they got left with Pop, come on now. Pop is known every time Pop get these picks, he find a way. He find a way, and they're in desperate need of actual talent. And although Harden is sometimes not focused, he is the best talent that they could get at a price that I think they could pay.
Yeah, because I also think, and I'll leave it on this with the Spurs, just because we don't know with Wemby, he hasn't shown like a big injury history, like so you just don't know like how long 7-footers like that last. I actually think their window to win may be shorter than people think. Like he's not a guy that I don't want to wait 4 years in to then start getting good players around. Like you're right, you may want to. You may be like a Tim Duncan like situation where you're second year, you're like, yo, we're in the Western Conference Finals.
Again, if he had Tim Duncan, I ain't gonna call Harden David Robinson, but like you can get him and somebody else to come to San Antonio, like it's over with Pop.
Well, he could be Manu.
Over. You have to talk hard about that.
Quote unquote. I mean, he's a more talented Manu, but I mean, obviously
he's gonna have to be Tony and Manu combined because You gonna have to talk to him about that.
Well, the assumption would be if he got, let's say Harden was able to get over there, and they got to give up stuff. The fact you have Harden and Wemby, you may be able to get some guys to want to come over and play with them.
Whether Jeremy Grant get pissed off at Portland.
Jeremy Grant's making way too much money to be going anywhere.
I'm just saying, like,
okay.
San Antonio has cap for that. That's what I'm trying to say. They have the space. Like, they got nobody on their cap. Like, They literally have nobody. So I'm going off of straight up, like, players that'll fit in a system where if they get the ball, they get it. If they don't get the ball, they good. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, that makes sense.
Wemby not going to be a top 5 scorer in the NBA. He's literally a defensive, rebounding, and he gonna do what he got to do. But he's a good talent to, like, just build around. And if you got Harden, who's a wonderful ball distributor and can shoot sometimes, I don't know, all the time. But you get someone that just is relentless on both sides of the ball. Like, that's what they need. Like, even if it was like a Julius Randle, for instance, you got a hard-nosed dude that's going to play hard on offense. I'm going to say offense specifically.
Right.
If it's a, I don't know if Miles Bridges, what his situation look like, but shoot, I'll take a shot on him if I'm San Antonio.
Right.
If it's a, I know John Collins just left, but even if somehow he get moved again, like, there's so many, like, the options. Like, they literally can take anybody on their team is what I'm saying. And make it look good with Wemby and with the Harden, because you got a 1 and a 5 at this point. We just try to fill it out.
Right. We just need solid role players because, like you said, one thing with James Harden, he can create for other people. So, I mean, like, you just need guys. Maybe you get a couple guys that knock out some shots, a couple guys that can rim run and run with them, even though he's going to really start the fast break. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate that idea. Like, we started this by saying we don't know a team, but we may have found a team like that actually has assets.
Man, I think it would work. It'd take I don't know who their GM is, but they need a.
They got RC Buford. So, I mean, it would. I mean, we don't know if they would want him. Like, that's obviously the caveat.
Yeah,
we're just talking, but we it looks good on paper. We can see it fit. We have no idea how Pop even feels about him. He may be like cool. He may be like, no, that's a guy I don't.
Pop got 3 years left.
And no, Pop got as many years left as Wemby got.
Coaches. I ain't talking about coaches. He got 3 years left, boy, before he see the Lord. Make it.
Oh my God! You know what? We go. Yeah, yep. It's time to wrap. We're gonna wrap it up on that. So we got a lot more to get into coming forward. We're gonna bring Jesse back on. I want to thank everybody so much for joining us once again. We had to do a pod with Dame reacting to the Dame trade. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Of course, we're on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Where do you want to see? You know, who's going to be the front runner in the East and the West? Let us know. Where do you want to see James Harden go? That's the domino that we have next. And who's going to be the next superstar? We always know there's going to be some disgruntled superstar. So you got to see what's happening next. But Jesse, man, as always, thanks so much for hopping on last minute. Love doing this with you. And until next time, peace.